Welcome to another track guide. This time we find ourselves at Monza. It's not a perfect lap by any means. I will try to explain my mistakes throughout the lap. And with that in mind, let's get into it. So for turn 1, I'm looking at the 150 board, and that's my main braking reference. Important to pay attention to the wind. In these conditions, I had a little bit of a tailwind, so I aimed to brake just a little bit earlier. Obviously, with the headwind, you could brake a little bit after the 150 board. I'm peaking at about 85%, I believe. Actually, a little less than that. So once I get to this green AstroTurf at the beginning, that's when I start trail braking into the apex of the first part of the chicane. Really you need to aim to cut a lot of this curbing to set yourself up for the second part. You just need to make sure you're keeping the left side tires on that red and green curbing. So as I'm on the curb, I push the throttle just a little bit, just so you can carry a little bit more momentum into the second part. And then as I'm approaching the second apex of the chicane, I just dab on the brakes a little bit, about 10-15%. I'm aiming to cut over the orange sausage curb. Once again, though, you need to make sure you're keeping the tires on the red and green curb, because there is a pretty nasty slowdown here. I believe it's like a 2-second slowdown if you step over that limit, so you certainly don't want to get that during a race. I'm pushing the throttle as I'm on the orange sausage curb, and I'm just trying to minimize the wheel spin coming out of here, as the traction in the Ferrari can be a little tricky at times. And also important that you don't really dip your tires into the gravel on the exit here, because that can kind of kill your momentum, and you can lose a little bit of time if you do so. So try to avoid that. Just hugging the white line through here. So coming into the second chicane, I'm looking at this orange painting on the barrier on the right side, and that's my reference for braking. Once again, taking the wind into account, although here it's not really affecting too much. So I aim to brake just before it. Shifting down to second gear, super important. Once again, you're cutting a lot of this curb, even more so than I did. You also want to be kind of pushing the throttle just a little bit as you're going over it, as it can help lift the front axle. And I'm shifting down to second gear. But yeah, you can cut way more than I did there, just keeping the tires on the red and green curbing as usual. So for the second part, I'm kind of doing a little bit of a half lift as I'm on the curbing. And you don't want to smash the throttle as the car lands, because naturally you'll have some steering lock to the right, and a sudden throttle application, aggressive one anyways, can unsettle the car and you can begin to lose the rear. So just carefully modulating the throttle as the car lands. You can dip your tires into the gravel here. It's not as punishing as turn 1, and you won't get the off track either. I don't really have a clear reference for braking here. It's kind of tricky. I'm really just judging the distance. You can use the orange painting on the barrier on the right, although it's not really a great reference. So I'm just kind of going off of feel here. I'm not braking very hard. I think I'm peaking at around 40%, and I'm trailing off all the way to the apex. This lap, I kind of get on this curbing here. You don't have to. I found it doesn't really gain or lose that much time. So you can't just stick on the, on the white line here. I just happen to go on the curbing a little bit on this lap. Want to be a bit patient with the throttle on the second part of the application. You can't really mash it to 100. You'll just understeer wide if you do. You want to keep the right side tires on this curbing. Yeah, if you're getting near the gravel, then you're likely going to get a 1x. This super important corner, as it leads to a long straight, you just really need to focus on getting a good exit here. So I'm braking just before the 50 board and keeping it in third gear. Once again, not braking too hard. And as I'm approaching, well, similar to the last corner, you can either choose to cut the curb or go around it. Like, once again, either way, it didn't seem to make much of a difference for me. But you do want to be pushing the throttle well before you start apexing here, so you can, because there's a lot of time to be gained here on the exit. Once again, like the last previous corner's exit, you want to keep the right side tires on this curb, and if you touch the gravel, it's pretty much an off track. So for the Ascari, I'm looking at the orange marking once again, and that's going to be my reference for braking. I'm kind of going into a headwind here on this lap, so I'm braking a little bit past it. Shifting down to third gear, I believe. You can opt to kind of mount this curb on the right more to help open it up. I suggest you do. More than I did anyways. You can carry more speed into the chicane. Ideally, you want to cut into this middle sausage curb more than I did. And you want to really push the throttle as you're mounting this part of the curb. And through here, I did kind of push the entry on the previous part a little too hard, so I am kind of forced to do a micro or a small lift here. This section can be flat out if you get the entry initially correct. But through here, I'm just aiming to stick on this curb for the little bit of a rotation you get. You can even go onto the sausage curbs a little bit. Make sure you're cutting over this sausage curb. I don't think I did on this lap, but normally I try to shift into fourth gear before I hit this curb, as it helps the rear be a little less nervous on the exit. Once again, just keeping the left side tires on the curbing. So coming into the Parabolica, you want to be looking at the end of this green AstroTurf as your reference for braking. I'm even kind of using a bit of it to help open up the corner just a little bit. I'm shifting down to third gear into this corner. I really want to trail brake nice and smoothly into here. So for the exit here, I'm tracking out a bit wide, as you can see. You don't really want to get into the green, because if you get onto the drainage area there, you can lose a little bit of traction. So I aim to kind of push out to this white line. Then I begin cutting it back to the right side, just to shorten the distance a little bit to the line. So that's a lap around Monza. I hope you guys found this helpful. Good luck in your races, and I'll see you.